Do you even think it's possible for you to create pattern using an old fitted clothes? Have you even thought about that? If you haven't, here is a video to bring that thought into your mind. And this video is sponsored by my curiosity for an alternative way to create pattern other than using your body measurements. Now, these are the steps that I've laid out for you to follow if you want to try this out. Now, the first thing is picking out the right top. Now, while you go through your clothes, your wardrobe to find out the perfect top for this project, I want you to have this in mind. You cannot use a top that stretches. So if you have something like this that stretches, it's a no-no for this project. What you need to do is go back to your wardrobe, search until you get a top that fits you perfectly without it being stretched. Now I found mine, and it is this black crop top, and I'm going to be using this for this project. The step 2 is going to be me folding the top into 2 to place on my pattern paper. And here is my brown paper for this project, and I'm just going to bring my top. Fold this from the neck and make sure I am folding from the back neckline. So this is the back and this is the front. So I'm just going to fold this into 2 and make sure I'm folding from the back neckline. And I'm folding in this part because this is not the actual neck. And I'm just going to fold this like this into 2 from the back. And I'll make sure I fold this into 2 equal parts. So once that is done, the next thing for me to do is fold in the sleeves, because what I'm trying to create right now, I'm not going to be cutting with the sleeves. I'm just going to draft out a basic bodice with the armhole, and then we're going to go ahead and create the sleeve later. So I'm just going to fold in the sleeve like this, and you can see the armhole there is now indicated. So the next thing for me to do is place this on the pattern paper and trace. So I'm just going to take this, place this on my pattern paper like this. Make sure that the center back is touching the edge of the pattern, and I'm just going to lay everything out beautifully and perfectly. Now, while tracing, I'm just going to make sure that I trace and I leave ½ an inch while tracing. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm using my blue marker for this, and I'm going to trace, making sure I leave ½ an inch, and I'll go from the neckline to the shoulder, and then I'll come down to the armhole like this. And you just need to take your time and gradually do this. I was rushing and I did not get a perfect line, but yeah, this will do. And yes, this is it. Very simple, very easy. Now I have saved you the stress of marking out your points and your measurement, and here you have a pattern ready just like that. So what I'm going to do is add ½ an inch round, because I'll be using that for the sewing allowance on the new top that I'm going to be trying out this pattern on. So I decided to use my black marker so you know that this is different from the pattern we just drafted using our old fitted clothes, and I'm adding ½ inch allowance round, and this is going to serve as my sewing allowance. And you guys, for this first trial, I'm going to be using this pattern as the front and the back pattern, and I will show you guys how. This is an easy project for you to try out. If you don't have the patience to start marking out your points and your round measurement on a pattern, you can just go ahead and use a fitted top, fold that into 2, place on the brown paper or a white paper, whatever pattern paper you're using, trace that out, and there you have it. You have a new pattern that you can use to create whatever kind of top you want to create. All you have to do to the pattern is adjust it to the style you want, and baby girl, you are good to go. So I'm just cutting out the pattern, and we are going to be moving on to the trial stage. We are going to be trying out this pattern and creating something different, okay? I'm going to place the pattern on the folded fabric, and I have my fabric here folded into two. And for the first piece I'll be cutting out the back piece first. And what I'll do now is place the pattern on my folded fabric. I'm just going to go ahead and place my book on this pattern to hold it down to the fabric, so while I cut it doesn't move. And now I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. So bear in mind that this is the back piece, and we're going to be adjusting the pattern to create the front piece. And guys, if you're not sure of the allowance you have on your pattern, you can go ahead and leave more allowance while you're cutting on your fabric. So this is going to be the back piece for my new top, and let's go ahead and create the front piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust the neckline by marking 2 inches down for my front neckline. So I'm just going to place my tape and I'll go down by 2 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and connect the neck depth to the neck width with a curve. And why I'm doing this is in case you are going to be creating something for yourself, this is all you have to do for your pattern to make it a front pattern. As for me, I don't need this. I'm creating a cowl neck, and I'm just going to show you guys how I'll be doing this. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2. And I'm just going to place the pattern like this, and from the waist part or the length of the pattern where the length is seated, I'll place this on the folded part of the fabric. I'll make sure I have this pinned down. Then I'm just going to go ahead and move this neckline like this. The more you move, the more cowl neck you get. You guys, in case you don't understand what is happening here, I have a very detailed tutorial on how to create a cowl neck top if that is what you're interested in. But for this video, I'm just trying to show you guys that you can create a pattern using a fitted top, and now you can use that pattern to create whatever new top you want to. And that is why I decided to create a cowl neck from using this pattern, so you know that you can use the pattern to create whatever you want to create. So what I'm doing now is tracing out the pattern just the way I moved it, making sure that the waist or the length do not move from that point that I pinned it to. And I'm just going to create my cowl neck like this, and I'll cut this out. Like I said, I have a detailed tutorial on how to create cowl neck. In fact, I have 2 videos for that. I have 2 videos for you to watch and create a cowl neck top for yourself. But for the sake of this video, I'm just trying this out to show you that you can use your pattern created from an old clothes to create a new top. Okay, I hope you guys get the gist. So this is it, and this is the front piece for my top. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is sew the front and the back piece together. So this is the back piece, and the right side of the back piece is facing me. I'm just going to use the front piece now and place on the back piece, making sure I place it right side facing right side. Then I'll go ahead and sew the shoulders by 1/2 inch. Then I'll also be sewing in the sides by 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. So once I was done, this is how it looks. This is it. Now I'm just going to be trimming out the neckline because I want this to be very wide. I want the neckline to be wide. I want it to be open, even though it's a cowl neck. I just want it to be really open. So I'm just going to trim out. This is the front piece. I'm trimming out the front piece neckline because I still want it to be open. And now that I have that done, I'm just going to go ahead and hem both the back piece and the front piece neckline together by 1/2 inch. At this point, you are allowed to use your bias, or you can create a facing if that is what you want, but I will be hemming this because this is just a tryout. I just want you guys to see that it is possible for you to just use a pattern created from an old cloth. Okay, so once I'm done hemming the neckline, I'll also hem the base by 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. So this is how it looks. I am done hemming. You can see that the base of my top is hemmed and the neckline is also hemmed. Now we're just going to move on to the last stage of this video, which is making the sleeves. Now I am yet to find out an easier way for you to draft out a sleeve pattern using an old clothes sleeves, but I'm just going to show you another fastest way to use your measurements to create this. All you have to do is measure out your armhole on the top, and I got 9 inches. Now I have my pattern paper here for the sleeves. I'm just going to rule out a starting line. On the starting line, I'm going to mark the 9 inches I got on the armhole on that point. So I'm just going to bring out my tape, and then I'll mark the 9 inches from the armhole. And from that point where the 9 inches is sitting, I'll go down by 5 inches. What I have to do now is from this point, I'm just going to create a curve to meet the 5 inches. Now I'm just going to start off using the dot method, and once I'm satisfied, I'll go ahead and trace that out so it is visible. And yeah, I love the way it looks, so I'm just going to trace this out like this and make sure that it meets the 5 inches. And now I have my armhole curve indicated. The next thing I need to do is mark out my elbow point, and for my shoulder to my elbow point is 12 inches. So I'm just marking that out, and I also rule an horizontal line. And I'll divide my round elbow by 2, and I'll mark this down on the elbow point. So I'll connect this to the curve like this. Now I'll move down to the length of the sleeves. That's where the wrist will sit. I'll divide my round wrist by 2, and then I'll mark that down on the length. And I'll also go ahead and connect this to the elbow point. And here you have your sleeve pattern. Now the last thing we need to do is measure out the 9 inches we got on the armhole on this curve, and add 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. So I'm just going to add the 1/2 inch here, and I'll connect this back to the elbow point. I'll use a black marker for this so you know that this other part is out of the whole equation. Now I'm just going to cut out my pattern. Now you guys, this is like the very easiest way for you to create a sleeve pattern. I'm going to go ahead and pin my pattern on the folded fabric, and I'm going to be adding to the length of this pattern. Like I'm just going to add to the length of the sleeves, and I'm adding 5 inches more to the length. Now I'll go ahead and cut out my pattern, making sure I leave 1/2 inches while I'm cutting. I'll take off the pattern, and you guys, this is my sleeves for this top. I'll go ahead and sew this by 1/2 inch, and while I'm at it, I'll also hem the base of the sleeves. And this is the sleeves sewn in and the base hemmed. Now the last step for this whole video is for me to attach the sleeve to the top, and this is how I'll be doing it. I'm just going to make sure that the sewing at the sleeves and the sewing on my top sits together here, and I'll take this to the sewing machine and sew from the wrong side. You guys, the purpose for this video is for the beginners or those that don't know anything about sewing to be able to create new outfits for themselves using an old clothes while they are still learning how to measure and mark on the pattern. You can just use this procedure and you're good to go. Please let me know what you think on the comment section, and please do not forget to like this video and help me share. And if you're new here, please do not forget to also subscribe. Thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. I'll be seeing you on my next video. Bye.